My uncle stole $50,000 that was meant for my surgery, but he panicked when Hi everyone, my name is Mateus, I'm 20 years old, and I need to share with you one of the most painful and at the same time transformative experiences of my life. It's hard to start this story because even today, when I think about what happened, my heart races and my hands tremble a bit. But I believe that telling this might help someone going through something similar, or at least show how sometimes the people we trust most can disappoint us in unimaginable ways. I'll be very direct with you. This is the story of how my own uncle, the man I considered my second father, stole 50,000 reais that was meant for a surgery that could change my life forever. But it's also the story of how I discovered a strength within myself that I didn't even know existed. To really understand this story, I need to go back in time a bit. I was born with a rare congenital condition called craniosynostosis, which basically means that the bones in my skull fused prematurely when I was a baby. This caused a facial deformity that was always with me. Imagine growing up as the different kid at school, hearing mean comments, avoiding mirrors and photos, feeling the curious and sometimes cruel stares of people on the street. Throughout my childhood and adolescence, my parents did everything they could to give me a normal life. They are simple people. My father works as a mechanic and my mother is a housekeeper, but they always saved every penny, hoping that one day they could pay for reconstructive surgery for me. It was their dream, and little by little it became mine too. My uncle Ricardo was always present in our family. He was my father's older brother, and unlike us, he had made it in life, as people said. He had a hardware store, a nice house, a new car. He was our rich relative and was always very generous with us. At family gatherings, he was the one who paid the bills, who gave the most expensive gifts, who always said, "You can count on me for anything," and we trusted him completely. When I turned 18, we finally managed to schedule a consultation with one of the best plastic surgeons in the country, a specialist in facial reconstruction. I remember that day perfectly. I was nervous but full of hope. The doctor examined my case, ordered a series of tests, and a few weeks later gave us the news that would change everything. The surgery was possible. It's going to be a complex procedure, he explained, but I can guarantee a significant improvement in the facial structure. The young man will have a completely different life. The cost? 50,000 reais. For a family like ours, 50,000 reais might as well have been 50 million. But my parents didn't give up. They started looking for ways to get the money. Loans, financing, selling everything they could. The situation was getting desperate when my uncle Ricardo came up with a proposal. "Look, brother-in-law," he said to my father one Sunday afternoon, "I have a proposal for you. I can lend you the 50,000 for Matias's surgery." My parents were shocked. It was literally a miracle. "But Ricardo," my mother said, tears in her eyes, "how will we ever pay you back?" "Don't worry, sister-in-law," he replied with that smile I'd known since I was a child. "It doesn't have to be all at once. We can make an agreement. The important thing is for the boy to have this surgery." In the following days, my uncle presented the details of the proposal. He would lend the 50,000 reais, and we would pay him back in monthly installments of 1,000 reais over 4 years, with a small interest rate, much lower than any bank would charge. Also, to make it official and protect both sides, he suggested that the money be kept in a joint account where both he and my father would have access. "It's just a formality," he explained. "That way everything's proper, documented. You can use the money when you need it for the surgery, and I have the guarantee that everything's in order." My father, who has always been an honest and trusting man, accepted without a second thought. After all, it was his brother, the man who had always been present in our lives, who had never given us reason to doubt him. The account was opened, the money was deposited, and we scheduled the surgery for 2 months later. I was over the moon. Finally, at 20 years old, I would have the chance to have a normal appearance, to look in the mirror without feeling ashamed, to go out on the street without worrying about people's stares. 2 weeks before the scheduled surgery date, we needed to make an advance payment to the hospital, 40,000 reais that would be deducted from the total. My father called my uncle asking to make the transfer together. "Ah, brother-in-law, today's not good," my uncle said. "I'm traveling for work. How about tomorrow?" The next day, the same story. And the day after that too. A week went by, and my father started to get worried. He decided to go personally to my uncle's store. When he got there, the employees said he wasn't there, that he had left early. My father went to his house. "Ricardo's not here," my aunt said, avoiding my father's eyes. He's taking care of some things." That's when a chill ran through all of us. My father decided to go to the bank alone to check the account. What he discovered was devastating. The account was empty. The 50,000 reais had been withdrawn 3 days after the initial deposit. When my father got home with this news, I was in the living room watching TV. I remember perfectly the expression on his face, a mix of shock, anger, and a deep sadness I'd never seen before. "What's wrong, Dad?" I asked. already feeling that something was very wrong. My mother came out of the kitchen, drying her hands on her apron. My father sat heavily on the couch and, with a trembling voice, told us everything. The silence that followed was deafening. My mother started crying quietly. My father put his face in his hands, and I just couldn't process what I'd heard. Process. My uncle, the man I called Uncle Rika since I was a child, who gave me gifts at Christmas, who was at all my birthdays, who always said I was like a son to him, had stolen the money for my surgery. In the following days, we tried to contact my uncle in every way possible. Calls, messages, visits to his store and his house. He had simply disappeared. The store employees said he was dealing with personal problems and didn't know when he'd be back. My aunt avoided us completely. That's when I made a decision that would change everything. "Dad," I said one morning, "I'm going to his store and I'll stay there until he shows up." "Mateus, it's not worth it," my father replied, defeated. "If he did this to us, it's because—" "No, Dad," I interrupted. "I'm going after my money. I'm going after my surgery. I'm going after my life." And that's what I did. For an entire week, every day, I went to my uncle's store and stayed there. I didn't cause trouble, didn't yell, didn't make a scene. I just sat there on a chair I borrowed, waiting. The employees got uncomfortable. Customers started asking questions. The situation was becoming unsustainable for him. On Friday of the second week, my uncle finally showed up. When he saw me sitting there, his expression changed completely. The confident, smiling man I knew turned into someone nervous, almost desperate. "Mateus, what are you doing here?" he asked, trying to keep his composure in front of the employees. "Waiting for you, Uncle," I replied calmly. "We need to talk." He took me to the office in the back of the store. As soon as he closed the door, the mask fell off completely. "Mateus, I can explain everything," he started, his hands visibly trembling. "Then explain," I said, looking him straight in the eye. What he told me left me even more shocked, if that was possible. He was in serious financial trouble. The store was on the verge of bankruptcy. He owed money to suppliers, had made bad investments. When he saw the 50,000 reais in the account, the temptation was too much for him. "I was going to put the money back before the surgery," he said, tears in his eyes. "I swear I was. I was trying to fix things, find a way, but you couldn't, right?" I said, feeling a strange calm. "No," he admitted, collapsing into the chair. "I lost everything, Mateus. Everything." At that moment, looking at my uncle, a desperate man who had betrayed his own family's trust, I could have exploded in anger. I could have yelled, threatened, promised revenge. But something different happened inside me. I felt sorry for him. Not pity in the sense of excusing what he did, but pity in seeing how desperation can turn a person into something they never thought they could be. "Uncle," I said calmly, "you destroyed my family. You destroyed my chance to have a normal life. You betrayed all the people who loved you most in the world." He couldn't look me in the eyes. "But I'm going to give you a chance," I continued. He looked up, surprised. "You're going to sell everything you have. The store, the house, the car, everything. And you're going to pay back every cent of the 50,000 reais. If you do that, I won't go to the police. If you don't, well, then we'll deal with it another way." What happened in the following months was surprising. My uncle really did sell everything. The store, the house, the car. He and my aunt moved into a small apartment, and he got a job as a salesman at another hardware store. Little by little, he paid the money back. It wasn't the 50,000 all at once, but significant monthly payments. And with every payment, he came personally to deliver the money, always with his head down, always apologizing. During this time, something in me also changed. The experience of being betrayed by someone so close, of losing my chance at surgery, of seeing my parents suffer, all of this strengthened me in a way I never expected. I started working. I got a job at a telemarketing company, then moved to the administrative sector. I took online courses, specialized, grew professionally. At the same time, I started saving money for my own surgery. 2 years after the episode with my uncle, something incredible happened. Through an NGO that helps people with facial deformities, I got a full scholarship to have the surgery at a renowned private hospital. It was a social program the hospital ran, and my case was selected. The surgery was a complete success. More than that, it was better than I had ever dreamed. When I took off the bandages and looked in the mirror for the first time, I cried for an hour. They weren't tears of sadness, but of pure gratitude. And you know what was even more amazing? When I got home after the surgery, my uncle was there, waiting in the living room with my parents. He had brought the last payment, completing exactly the 50,000 reais. But this time, I did something that surprised everyone, including myself. I took the envelope with the money and gave it back to him. Keep it, uncle, I said. Everyone was in shock. Mateus, what are you doing? My mother asked. I don't need this money anymore, I replied. The surgery is done and it was free. This money can help you rebuild your life. My uncle started crying like a child. Today, 3 years after all this, I can say that that terrible experience was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Not because it was easy, it was painful, devastating. It almost destroyed us as a family. But because it taught me some of the most important lessons of my life. First, I learned that sometimes the people we love most are capable of hurting us deeply. Not because they're bad, but because they're human, flawed, desperate. And that doesn't mean we should stop trusting people, but that we should be more careful and at the same time, more compassionate. Second, I discovered that I had an inner strength I never knew I possessed. When everything fell apart, when it seemed like my dreams had been destroyed, I found a determination and courage that surprised me. Third, I learned that forgiving doesn't mean forgetting or accepting the unacceptable. Forgiving is letting go of the weight of anger and resentment that only hurts us. When I gave that money back to my uncle, I wasn't saying what he did was right. I was saying that I was free from it. My uncle and I have a different relationship today. It's not like before. It never will be. But it's a relationship based on an honesty that maybe we never would have reached if everything had gone normally. He knows he broke something in our family that will never be fully repaired. I know he carries that guilt every day, but I also know he's a different man now, more humble, more aware of the consequences of his actions. And in a way, I'm a different person too, stronger, more mature, more capable of facing life's adversities. The surgery changed my appearance, but the experience with my uncle changed who I am inside. And today, when I look in the mirror, I see not just a reconstructed face, but a person who went through the fire and came out stronger. If you're going through a betrayal, a deep disappointment with people close to you, I want you to know that it's possible to come out stronger on the other side. It's not easy, it's not quick, and it will certainly hurt a lot in the process, but it's possible. Sometimes the worst experiences of our lives are exactly those that prepare us for our greatest triumphs. And sometimes the panic we cause in the people who hurt us doesn't come from revenge or aggression, but simply from our ability to forgive and move on. That scares them much more than any threat. This is my story. I hope that in some way it can help you face your own battles with more courage and hope. A big hug, Mateus.